The boy who became the king of pop, the Michael Jackson story on. A spring night in 1983, in front of a live television audience of millions. A slim young man in a black sequin jacket and a single sparkling white glove stepped to the front of the stage. He had already sung his song. The crowd was cheering, and then in one single impossible movement, he glided backwards across the stage, his feet seeming to walk forwards while his whole body floated in the opposite direction, as if gravity itself had let go of him. It lasted only a few seconds. The moonwalk. And in those few seconds, the entire world changed. The audience gasped. Living rooms across the planet erupted. Overnight, that young man stopped being merely a famous singer and became something else entirely. A living legend, an icon, the single biggest entertainer on the face of the earth. His name was Michael Jackson, and that dazzling figure under the spotlight, adored by hundreds of millions, was, deep down, the same fragile, lonely boy from a poor family in Gary, Indiana, a boy who had lost his childhood to the stage before he ever had the chance to be a child at all. This is the story of the highest highs and the darkest lows a human being can live through. A story of unmatched genius and unbearable loneliness. Of a man who could make the whole world dance, but could never quite outrun his own pain. Welcome to Today in History, the channel where the greatest lives of the past come roaring back to life. Before we begin, take 1 second to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so a story like this never passes you by. And make sure you stay with us all the way to the end, because Michael's story rises higher and falls harder than almost any story we've ever told. As you watch, ask yourself one thing and share it in the comments. Was fame a gift to Michael Jackson, or was it the very thing that destroyed him? Keep that question in your heart. Now let's begin. Michael Joseph Jackson was born on the 29th of August, 1958 in Gary, Indiana, a hard, smoky steel town in the American Midwest. He was the 8th of 10 children in a family that had very little money and very little room. The whole family crowded into a tiny 2-bedroom house. Life was tough, and it was strict. At the center of that household stood his father, Joe Jackson. Joe worked long, grueling hours in the steel mills, but he dreamed of something bigger for his sons, and he ran the family like a drill sergeant. When he discovered that his boys had a gift for music, he became relentless. Rehearsals were long and exhausting. The discipline was harsh, sometimes frighteningly so. Michael would later speak openly about how afraid he was of his father, and about the childhood that was taken from him before it ever really began. Because from the moment his talent revealed itself, Michael was not allowed to be an ordinary boy, and oh, what a talent it was. Even at 5 and 6 years old, little Michael could sing with a power and emotion that seemed impossible for a child so small. He could dance. He could command a stage. He didn't just imitate the great performers of the day. He seemed to understand them, to feel the music in his bones. Joe formed his sons into a group, the Jackson 5. And though he was the youngest of the performing brothers, Tiny Michael became the star, the lead singer, the electric center of the act, the one every eye locked onto the moment he opened his mouth. The brothers played talent shows in small, rough nightclubs, driving from town to town, performing late into the night, chasing a dream in a beat-up vehicle packed with kids. And then, at the end of the 1960s, the dream came true. The Jackson 5 were signed to Motown Records, the legendary label that had launched some of the greatest black artists in American history. It was the golden ticket. And the Jackson 5 didn't just walk through the door, they kicked it down. Their first single, I Want You Back, shot to #1. So did their next, and their next, and their next. The Jackson 5 became the first group in history to send their first 4 singles straight to the top of the American charts. Songs like ABC and the tender soaring ballad I'll Be There became instant classics, and they still fill the air on radios around the world today. More than 50 years later, Jackson Mania swept the nation. Screaming fans, magazine covers, cartoon shows, and at the heart of it all was a boy who wasn't even a teenager yet, carrying the weight of a global sensation on his small shoulders. But behind the bright lights, a quiet sadness was already taking root. While other children his age were playing outside, riding bikes, and going to school with friends, Michael was rehearsing, recording, and performing. He often said later in life that he never truly had a childhood that his youth was spent in recording studios and on stages, working, always working. That single aching wound, the childhood he never got to live, would follow him and shape him for the rest of his life. It explains so much of the strange and misunderstood man he would one day become. As the years passed, Michael grew, and so did his ambition. The Jackson brothers eventually left Motown for a new label, seeking more creative freedom. And though he still loved his brothers, Michael was beginning to feel something powerful stirring inside him. A vision of what he could become on his own. Not just a member of a group, not just a former child star, but the greatest entertainer the world had ever seen. In 1979, Michael Jackson, now a young man, teamed up with a brilliant music producer named Quincy Jones and released his first true grown-up solo album. It was called Off the Wall. It was a triumph. Bursting with joy, rhythm, and dazzling energy, Off the Wall produced hit after hit and sold millions of copies. It announced to the world that the cute little boy from the Jackson 5 had transformed into a serious, sophisticated artist. And yet, Michael was not satisfied. He felt Off the Wall hadn't received all the respect and recognition it deserved. That hunger, that refusal to settle, lit a fire in him. He decided that his next album would not just be successful. It would be the biggest album the world had ever seen. He set out with almost frightening determination to make something perfect. In 1982, he released it. Its name was Thriller, and Thriller did not just become a hit. It became a phenomenon unlike anything in the history of recorded music. To this day, Thriller remains the best-selling album of all time, with tens of millions of copies sold across the globe. A record that has never been beaten and may never be beaten again. Song after song became a monster hit. Billie Jean, with its unforgettable bass line and Michael's electrifying performance. Beat It, with its rock guitar and its message against violence. And the title track, Thriller, a spine-tingling masterpiece. But Michael Jackson wasn't just changing music. He was changing what music could be. He turned the music video from a simple promotional clip into a grand cinematic event. The video for Thriller, with its dancing zombies and its short film storytelling, was a 14-minute epic that people gathered around their televisions to watch like a movie premiere. It set a new standard that every artist since has chased, and there was something even bigger happening. In the early 1980s, the music channel MTV had been criticized for rarely playing black artists. Michael Jackson's videos were so undeniable, so spectacular, so wildly popular that they helped shatter that barrier, opening doors for countless black performers who came after him. His art didn't just entertain, it moved culture forward. Then came that unforgettable night in 1983 at a television special celebrating Motown. Michael performed Billie Jean and unveiled the moonwalk to the world for the first time. That single moment sealed his destiny. He was no longer just a pop star. He was the king of pop. His fame reached heights almost no human being has ever known. His trademark style, the single glove, the black fedora, the military-style jackets, the ankle-high trousers that showed off his dancing feet, was copied by millions. Children everywhere tried to moonwalk in their living rooms. He was, without exaggeration, the most famous person on the planet. Michael followed Thriller with more blockbuster albums, Bad in 1987, and Dangerous in 1991, each one packed with hits, each one showcasing his relentless perfectionism and his jaw-dropping choreography. He embarked on massive world tours, selling out enormous stadiums, leaving audiences fainting and weeping. Over his lifetime, he would win 13 Grammy Awards and sell more than 350 million records around the world, numbers that place him among the greatest and most influential entertainers who have ever lived. He also poured his fame into causes he cared about. He recorded songs for charity, gave enormous sums to organizations helping children and the sick, and used his music to spread messages of unity, healing, and love for the planet. Few performers have ever tried to carry so much meaning in their art. He had reached the summit of the mountain. He had everything he had ever worked for. The fame, the fortune, the adoration of billions. But here, at the very top, the story begins to darken. Because the same fame that had lifted Michael Jackson so high was about to become the heaviest burden of his life. As the years went on, the whole world watched Michael change, and not just his music. His appearance transformed dramatically over time, his features shifting in ways that became the subject of endless gossip, cruel jokes, and relentless tabloid speculation. He grew more private, more guarded, more isolated from the ordinary world. He built himself a fantasy home, a sprawling estate he called Neverland Ranch, named after the magical land in Peter Pan, the boy who never grew up. He filled it with an amusement park, a zoo, and a movie theater. To many, this seemed bizarre, but to those who understood his story, it made a heartbreaking kind of sense. This was a man who had never been allowed to be a child, and now, as an adult with unlimited wealth, he was trying desperately to build the childhood he had lost, to finally play, to finally have fun, to finally be free. There were physical struggles too. During the filming of a commercial in 1984, a pyrotechnic accident set his hair on fire, causing serious burns. It was one of several painful injuries over the years, and it began a long and complicated relationship with pain-killing medications that would haunt him for decades. And there was the crushing weight of the fame itself. Michael could not walk down a street. He could not go to a shop, sit in a park, or live any semblance of a normal life. Everywhere he went, he was mobbed, chased, photographed, and hounded. He was one of the most beloved people on earth, and yet, by many accounts, one of the loneliest. The gift of fame and the curse of isolation had become the very same thing. In the 1990s and 2000s, Michael Jackson's world was shaken by the most serious controversy of his life. He was accused of child sexual abuse. Michael strongly and repeatedly denied all of the accusations against him. The first allegation, in the early 1990s, did not lead to criminal charges and was ultimately settled. Then, in the mid-2000s, he faced a highly publicized criminal trial that gripped the entire world's attention. After that long and dramatic trial, in 2005, Michael Jackson was found not guilty on all charges. He was acquitted. These accusations, the trials, and the endless media frenzy surrounding them have been debated fiercely ever since, and they remain deeply controversial to this day. People hold strong and opposing views, and the questions surrounding this chapter of his life continue to divide the public. What is not in dispute is the toll it took. The scrutiny was merciless. His reputation was powerful. And Michael, already fragile and isolated, was left more wounded and withdrawn than ever before. On top of it all, despite the fortunes he had earned, Michael fell into severe financial troubles. His extravagant spending, his enormous estate, and the costs of years of legal battles drained his wealth and left him buried under crushing debt. The king of pop, who had earned more money than almost any entertainer in history, found himself struggling to stay afloat. In the late 2000s, Michael Jackson was on a retreat. His glory days seemed behind him. His name tangled in controversy, his finances in ruins. Many wondered if the world would ever see him shine again. But Michael Jackson was, above all else, a performer, and he was not ready for his story to end. In 2009, Michael made a stunning announcement. He would return to the stage for a series of comeback concerts in London, a grand farewell tour he called This Is It. Tickets sold out almost instantly. The demand was so overwhelming that dozens of shows were added. The world, it seemed, was ready to forgive, to remember, and to welcome its king back into the world. Michael himself was simply excited, energized, pouring himself into rehearsals, determined to prove his still. The comeback was set. The stage was ready. It was a comeback that no one had ever seen. On the 24th of June 2009, Michael Jackson died. He was just 50 years old. His death was caused by cardiac arrest, brought on by an overdose of powerful medication that had been given to him by his personal physician to help him with sleep and twilight of years. It was a preventable, heartbreaking event. His doctor was later held criminally responsible for his death. The news swept across the planet like a shockwave. It is difficult to describe the sheer scale of the grief. Around the world, people stopped in their tracks. Fans wept openly in the streets. His music flooded the airwaves as an entire generation mourned the soundtrack of their lives. His memorial service was broadcast globally and watched by an audience estimated in the hundreds of millions to over 1 billion people. One of the most watched events in television history. The boy from Gary, Indiana, who had given the world so much joy and so many unforgettable songs, was gone, and the world would never be the same. So when we look back now, what do we make of the life of Michael Jackson? His story is one of almost unimaginable contrasts. He was a musical genius whose talent may never be equaled, and a wounded soul who never healed from the childhood wounds. He was adored by more people than almost anyone in history, and yet in so many ways he was profoundly alone. He created some of the most joyful, electrifying moments in the history of entertainment, and he lived through some of the most painful and controversial chapters imaginable. His legacy is complicated, and it will be debated for generations, but no honest telling of music history can really achieve. He shattered records. He broke down barriers. He transformed the music video into an art form. He inspired countless artists who came after him. Nearly every major pop performer of the last 40 years owes something to the paths that Michael Jackson blazed. When he danced, the whole world danced with him. He was and remains the king of pop, the title of his time. A title no one may ever earn again. And perhaps the truest lesson of his story is this: fame, fortune, and the love of billions can lift a person higher than you can imagine. Still leaving you inside that nothing can fill. Behind the sequin glove and the dazzling smile was a human being, as fragile and as searching